Hey folks, Mature Simmer here. So, last week of the NASCAR 2025 series, we have got the final race over in Phoenix. We're heading out of Martinsville here. As you can see, we're at Blue Ridge Airport. Just wanted to give you a view of the conditions. We are fully overcast. So, we will be heading out. Not crazy wind, 20 degrees, 9 knots. So should be able to take off pretty easily with the Cessna Citation, but we shall see. So a few other things we talked about that I have switched SayIntentions to basically get rid of all the crutches, I guess is the best way to say it. Never run it this way before, but yeah, it's running in what's called Pro mode and had this screen on it. And I guess I'll just share it with you. So you can see here, many features do not work in Pro mode if you are not here on purpose. Go to Settings Miscellaneous and change the mode back to Standard, proving that you can handle the comms. I am here on purpose. Have I bitten off more than I can chew? Remains to be seen. But you can see, use your real-world charts to get frequencies, so it's not going to give us any of that. I knew it wasn't going to do certain things, but I didn't realize it was going to do that, but that's okay. I know how to find those. You handle the comms. Copilot has other duties. That will probably be the biggest challenge with this flight because we have over 4 hours of airtime here, and I've got other duties myself, but really this is my best opportunity this week to get this flight done so that it shows up when it's supposed to show up this Saturday before the Phoenix race. There are no progressive taxi, arrows, or follow me vehicles. That's fine. I haven't been using that for a while. If you need to remember it, you need to write it down. So I'm familiar with doing that. I just certainly have not been doing that. So yeah, all the squawk codes, all that other stuff, what we set things at. So I'm going to have to pay attention to that. If you need to step away, just tell ATC. So I suppose I can do that instead of the Copilot thing and just let them know, hey, I'm going to step away for an hour. I don't know. We'll see what they say if I do that. Don't know that I'll have that recorded because I'm not planning on recording 4 hours of flight. And then you can always ask ATC to say again or say again, but slower. So let me get loaded in here, and we'll see what happens.
Greensboro, Clarence, Tachi, 36270, type Cessna Skyhawk, IFR clearance to Tazewell, Kilo, Juliet, Foxtrot, Zebra.
Alright, so here we are. Let me get all my items off the plane and going. I have not tuned a frequency in, but we're getting some things as you can hear. We do have Greensboro clearance, 124.85, and Greensboro departure, 124.35, which I assume is what we will need. But we'll get our wheel chocks off. I'm going to show a little bit more in this episode, so if you're, maybe uncomfortable with flight sim, things like that, I'm going to try to share what I'm doing so that those who might be a bit intimidated with doing this, especially, again, if you are a non-aviator, if you have no aviation experience, you can do flight sim. I'm the perfect example of that. I came into this knowing nothing. I did not know, other than rudimentary concepts. How does a plane fly? How do you take off and land? Years and years ago, like probably when Flight Simulator was brand new. I tried it a little bit here and there. I don't remember how I got access to something. All I did was crash. It was horrendous. But with perseverance, talking to folks, learning things, definitely able to do better. So before I start firing up the plane and starting to chew up fuel and all that, we are going to have to change the fuel because we definitely need, we need 11,342 pounds. And I get that off my sim brief sheet. So I'm not going to cover like a ton of detail, but for charts and frequencies, you bring up your airport information in Navigraph, and you can see these are your frequencies and all the other information too. Like you've got your airport diagram. You know, because this is a tiny airport, there's not much that we have here, but we can see the airport elevation, 941 feet. Charts obviously from December of 2025. All right, so December, well, maybe it's the 25th of December of 2020. That I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on that. And again, of course, they're saying for flight simulation, not for navigational use. And Navigraph does use Jepson charts, so just so you're aware. But they do show you 941 there, 912. The elevation is, you know, so that you can see this basically runs up about 30 feet. Runway is 5,002 feet. We are here in parking space 1 with the intent to leave at runway 31, and then we basically need to fly direct for 23 miles to Pigs, where we will then join up and head out. So, you know, we're kind of going in the wrong direction. We need to be going west.
Citation Juliet Lima Whiskey negative, go ahead.
So the other thing we look at is weather. You're looking for this number here, altimeter 3018. That tells you what to set your barometer to. This also gives you some additional info. Again, 20 degrees, 9 knots, visibility 10 statute miles, so we shouldn't have challenges once we're up through the clouds, but we can see we're overcast at 500 feet. The temperature is 07. This is Celsius. And the dew point is 03, so they're not right on top of each other, so therefore we don't have fog. And then there's additional remarks after the altimeter. So you can see all this too. Navigraph helps you read the METAR. So in case you're unfamiliar with it, you don't have to worry about it. But for VATSIM ATC, we've got to kind of have that backwards and forwards and understand what's going on. So your bar on top, I believe, is not showing anything because the plane is not powered up. I think once things start running and we get kind of an official position, so we're going to arm things, we're going to turn on the pulse lights, anti-collision. I expect that we will start to see distance to go obviously change from 6,516 nautical miles to something better than that, because right now it's showing no FMS position, so it's aligning, and I think once that aligns, we're going to be okay. If we're not, obviously we'll have to figure out how we get that going for you guys, but usually it works out. So we have to go to our EFB, our electronic flight pad. Again, we're going to go to the aircraft, flight performance, mass and balance, fuel. Change it to pounds because that's what Navigraph gives you. And again, we need about 11,300 or so. So 11, let me just double check because the last thing we want to do is run out of fuel. Sorry. 11,342, so that'll be good. We load the aircraft. Load immediately. Alright. So we can now see, we can't see there. So anyway, all right, I'll shrink this. So right there, we've got that. We're still showing 6,000. I don't understand. So it's a little frustrating. It should be getting detail because my landing rate monitor shows that FSU IPC is running. But let me maybe stop and restart Fly Studios. Alright, so what I had to do is I had to stop and restart FSU IPCC7, which is kind of what sends information to things, and you can now see you're seeing 1595. I just want to make sure that we're all good here. I think we are. I hope so, because man, I'd hate to not get this flight with landing rate monitor. You know, it is what it is. Let me just make sure now my walker stuff is working. Yes, it says it's now boarding. So all appears solid. Okay, so we'll go back to where we were. We have our fuel. So we want to go back to Navigraph. We don't actually have to go back. We could have just hit the button on the bottom. Now we're going to pull things from SimBrief. So it's taking a little bit because it is. I don't know. We're going to import the flight, and it is a challenge on the pad on the EFB, but we're going from Blue Ridge to Goodyear. It's Phoenix-Goodyear, so, and then the change we have is we're going to select an approach, and we're going to take this long RNAV from Porter to go from Cacti to Porter. We're going to add that to the route. It's likely going to be a vector type thing because it doesn't connect it. But at this point, now we can go to export, load active flight plan, and that is how this works with these type of planes. There's usually a cleaner way to do it with the airliners, but again, I have videos on the channel for flight sim for non-aviators. There's a whole series on that. I cover some things there. Anything else that I haven't covered, I'm definitely looking to maybe think about that a little bit more in the future. But let me get down here to the APU, get that started. That will be important to not drain our battery because that's what we're doing here. We talked about 3018, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see, but that is there. So you want to get that because that basically sets what your plane thinks the elevation is because it's using the barometric pressure, and so 920 feet. And if you remember from the chart, the airport was about 941 feet, but it was 914 feet down by runway 31, which is near where we are parked, because basically, you know, if we pop out here, the runway is behind us, and runway 31 is right there. You can just barely make out the numbers. We're getting the landing lights coming in, touchdown zone there. So it would make sense if this is 914 feet, it's certainly reasonable that this is 920 feet. Now this is not an airport. This does not mean this airport paints fake airplanes on the grass. This is just bad scenery for an airport that's not incredibly busy. So these would probably be buildings, it'd probably be hangars, and it's kind of mimicking that. So just be aware there. All right, so I go back to my charts, and again, what I'm looking at here is the airport chart to get the frequency. Is it not working? There we go. All right, so I need 12485 on the radio. Okay, so it did give us that, so it was nice enough to do that, even in Pro mode. But we're also going to just quickly check the flight plan, make sure everything's good. It should be. At Pigs, we're going to want to be probably at, you know, our flight level, so flight 380. I don't know, that may be too close, but it is 40 miles or something away. So we'll see. It's probably not going to complain, but then what that does is it changes the default for everything until we start getting closer, and then it basically is determining between shock and busted that my descent will begin. And then so we've got from Cacti, we have a manual sequence to Potter, is what that's telling us. Now we can go direct to Potter later, but we'll worry about that as we get to the back end. So now we need to call to ATC. Greensboro clearance, Walker 4021, requesting IFR to Phoenix-Goodyear. And now I need to write stuff down, which is different.
Give me 1 second for that clearance.
So I assume we're going to go out via the... there is no departure, so it's just going to tell me probably direct Pigs or something
Walker
like that.
4021, cleared to Goodyear. Radar vectors Pigs. Then as filed. Climb and maintain 4000. Expect flight level 38010 minutes after departure. Departure on 124.35, squawk 1232. Expect runway 31, released for departure. Clearance void if not off by 1415 Zulu, time now 1400.
Man, that is fast. So now I understand what they talk about. Cleared to Kmtv-Kgyr via pigs, then as filed. Climb 4,000, expect flight level 38010 minutes after departure. Departure 124.35, squawk 1232, Walker 4021.
Walker 4021, read back correct.
All right. Well, I passed my first protest, so I wrote everything down that was important. Okay, so what we do is we turn on the flight directors. That tells us we've got that. We're done doing VNAV. The V goes on. We do NAV. That, because we're already on FMS, we won't have anything different. We start dialing this in. We're at 1,000. We push. Whoops, no, we don't want to go fine. And we go to 4,000 because that is what we're cleared to initially. So that's how we dial that in. We're at 3018. Everything else is good. And at this point, we're going to go ahead, because it's a small airport, we're in essence cleared to go ahead and just get going. And, you know, we don't even have to call for taxi. Because basically he's given us a clearance. Whoops. He's given us a clearance letting us know that, hey, if we're not off by a certain period of time, the clearance is void. But, so we're starting our engines. The APU is up. That shows that here. You can see it says APU, RPM percent 100. That's what we're looking at. Now we're firing this up. And again, basically once we get to N2 at like 20%, things will really kick in. You'll start to see all these things clear up. And there you go. So engine 1 is going. I'm going to double check. Yes, or engine 2 is going. I'm sorry. I'm going to double check and make sure that is what I'm seeing. I am. So Walker is tracking me, or my tracker for Walker is tracking. So you can see there now, because like oil degrees are a little bit low. But see, once we get to 20 on N2, then the N1 kind of really begins, and then you've really got ignition going. So 20 is kind of the sweet spot at N2. That's when you basically give the engine fuel. But in this aircraft, it takes care of that on its own. Now that we have engine power, we're going to move the flaps so that we're not doing other things. You'll notice our errors have gone away here. Now I've got the engines running. I can go down here, and I can turn off the APU so that it's not consuming any more fuel, because now I have power coming from the engines for electric and hydraulic. So that gets you kind of what you need there. Alright, so we're all set. We're going to go ahead and head on up for taxi. Before we take off, yeah, William Byron was the winner here in Martinsville. And again, we're going to the championship race in Phoenix. So, you know, the VIPs are going to be happy. The contract is over. And, you know, we'll see what happens after that. But for now, this is what we've been asked to do all year. And we, barring any unforeseen disasters here... do I? Well, did I not?
No takeoff.
No, I did. Okay. Why am I not moving? There we go. I shouldn't need that much. I think I'm seeing rain on the ground. That's great. So I see little drips on the tarmac. Yeah, I shouldn't need to be at 40, for goodness sakes, on the thrust to move, but obviously it's a little challenging. I think we're spinning into the grass. I'm gonna back this off a bit. All right. There we go. So yeah, we probably turned a little bit more than we wanted to. But flaps are down. I don't have my trim set, which is why it's saying no takeoff. So I do have a problem there. Which I think is also why it's blinking. But let me get that set. So that is the getting in the green. Now we should be okay. So we have this here. Do I have something up on my wings? No. No. Yeah, maybe I do. So, 'cause yeah, I'm not used to seeing this, so we're definitely going to have to figure that out. So I may have indirectly pressed something in my setup. Because those would be the speed brakes, typically. So we're going to get ourselves out on the runway. And, 'cause yeah, it's a quiet airport here, but kind of a nice view, even though it's, you know, mid-morning-ish. You know, the lights at the airport are definitely necessary on an overcast day like today. You can see the windsock. Not straight out. It usually takes 15 knots or so for that to happen. But the windsock is ready. Gonna go up here, get our landing lights on just to make ourselves more visible. And let's figure out, yes, I don't know how I got the speed brakes on, but you can see now those are down and the no takeoff has gone away. That would have been a problem. Because basically that's those flaps here, and that would have caused significant amounts of drag. That would have made it really challenging to get off the ground. So that's why it's important to take a look. So I'm thinking at some point I clicked on this maybe when I was doing something there, or I hit a button that inadvertently did some things. But we are set now to get going, and we are going to take off. 1, 2, 4, 3, 5. We have it in the box. That's what we need for departure. Let's go. So, takes a little bit when you're at takeoff thrust to, you know, get moving. About 90 to 100, depending on wind and all. We're going to get, basically, the plane's going to want to take off on its own. So you can see I'm not pulling back yet. But now I am. Alright. So we kind of touched the runway again. I don't know how, but we did. Gear up. Pull that back a bit. Flaps up, because we're pretty quick. And we are set. And we are going to want to go this direction here. So we got some mountains, so we don't want to be too low. And then, again, it's not going to tell us to switch to departure. We need to do that on our own. Whoop. Alright, so let me get my view back so I can see what's happening. Alright.
Walker 4021, I'm not seeing your transponder. Confirm squawking 1232 mode C.I-dent one more time for me.
Shoot. Alright, well, I am going to put myself first on auto throttle. And then autopilot. So that should get us there. And yes, I forgot. 1, 2, 3, 2. Alright. Greensboro departure, Walker 4021. With you.
Walker 4021, Greensboro departure. Good morning, Martinsville, altimeter 3018.
Okay, so we're going to flight level change here, get ourselves back down to 4,000, because he's clearly not giving us the clearance right now, which is fine, because partially we're way off target right now. But I'm sure once we get a little closer and where we need to be, we'll get that. But again, we may not be able to get to where we want to for pigs. But you can see we're down to 4,500 here. If we make a mistake, we're going to get a phone number to call at this point if we're like really bad. I'm sure they'll work with us a little bit, but if we're doing really stupid things, that will change. So yeah, we're going to start to turn here, I'm sure, in a bit. So the question is, and I don't know if pigs has some sort of a limit, because I don't specifically have a chart for that. Right. It should start turning us, I would think. Yeah, we're turned a bit, but we're not turned a lot here, so but I'm just checking everything quickly. We are on autopilot. And you can see we're kind of coming in to the vector. It just looks a little bit steeper. But yeah, we'll see where we're at. Right, so we're turning a bit. I don't like the lack of visibility. I mean, we're really flying into some overcast conditions here. It's probably raining pretty hard. You know, at speed, we're not going to see much of that. Greensboro departure, request climb.
Walker 4021, climb and maintain flight level 380.
Climb and maintain flight level 380, Walker 4021. Alright, so I don't know why he didn't. I mean, I guess we were cleared to 380, so maybe they won't tell us. I don't know. So that might be the part I'm missing on the pro side, is we were already basically cleared to flight level 380 after, but I'm used to them giving me some clearance to leave the 4000, but we'll see.
Walker 4021, contact Roanoke approach on 118.15.
Contact Roanoke 118.15, Walker 4021. Okay, so it does... Copilot does put that in, which is nice. Roanoke, Walker 4021, with you 9,000 feet to flight level 380.
Walker 4021, Roanoke departure. Good morning, Martinsville, altimeter 3015.
Alright, so we're there, just double checking. Everything is tracking. Yep, everything looks good. Let me make sure you're getting information. You are, other than, you know, I've got a terrible view for you. But there we go. Alright, so we're not anywhere near 380 here, but that's okay. But we'll check the flight plan, because we want to make sure then it's not like, oh, well, you're not there, so we're going to reset to some lower level for feeds. But once we get past kind of this point, it will change from going to pigs to going to feeds. I just don't know how far away feeds is. But yeah, we're going to be up. Man, we are bouncing strangely, so we must have some interesting winds. Okay, so feeds is, yeah, 41 nautical miles. We will definitely be up there at that point. It did not change on my plan there. If I zoom in here, flight level 380. So we're good. Again, once we hit flight level 180, that is the transition level where we go to standard pressure just to maintain appropriate separation for high altitude aviation.
Roanoke departure, contact Washington Center on 133.575.
Contact Washington Center 133.575, Walker 4021. Alright, so we're going to get ourselves to standard. That will do that. Washington Center, Walker 4021 with you, flight level 190 to flight level 380.
Walker 4021, Washington Center, good morning.
Alright, and the good news is, yes, we're squawking the proper thing. We didn't get yelled at for that again. And so, yeah, when we get closer, we're also going to have to get the frequencies dialed in and all that, although they should be telling us some things as we come in. It's really the departure that, like, you've got to get your radio set to talk to the right people, which is very similar to what you need to do in VATSIM and things like that. So at this point, I've got myself a good distance to fly. We've got still 1,600 miles to go, which is technically longer than we had. It was 1,595, but again, we went further away, and you know, the path is not as straight either, because I think directly when I first loaded the bid in to Walker Air Transport, I was told 3 hours and 51 minutes, but it's 4 hours and 9 minutes because we're basically heading up a little bit higher. So let me see. I'll get this over here, but you can see we're on the flight path, and this is what we have filed. So we're going to head basically through Virginia, through Kentucky, brush the tip of Indiana and Illinois, head through Missouri, get through Kansas, go through the corner of Kansas, touch a little bit of Oklahoma, and finally New Mexico and Arizona. And then this is our arrival. And then again, we're going to go from Cacti to Potter, and we'll worry about that when we get on the other end. But that is my flight path, so as opposed to just going here to here, which would have cut off 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so, you know, we're doing what we're doing. So I'm set to arrive on runway 03. We'll see if they stick with that. It is indicating VFR. Of course, it indicated VFR in Blue Ridge here, but we obviously had some storms. Along the way, I don't think we're dealing with much weather. There was a bit of a system forming over Oklahoma, but other than that, I think it's once we're out of this, really once we get well into Kentucky, I think we'll be clear of this system. But as you can see, we're in, you know, pretty clear skies at this point. I mean, there's not storm clouds ahead of us, so we're doing well. I set the flight rate pretty high, because it just should save some fuel, and on long distances I tend to go higher. A lot of times I'll do 34, 36,000. Again, we're traveling west, so that is another thing. That would be an even altitude, where if we're traveling east, that is an odd altitude. And again, it's mostly west, you know, so it's you're dealing with it that way. It's really, if you take a circle and divide it straight up and down, from 360 degrees to 180 degrees, anything predominantly on the left side of that, so from basically 180 to 181 to 360 or so, you're going to be even, and from 0 to 180-ish, you're going to be odd as far as your height, and that keeps separation of at least 1,000 feet based on what the lanes that are going. But that way, you know, there's 2,000 feet between aircraft moving in the same direction. So, you know, there should be less ability for conflict and so forth. But we're coming up on feeds now, and we will then be turning and continuing on. But I'm going to go ahead and step away from you, and we'll join back up as we get much closer to Phoenix. I will see you in a bit. Alright, we are back. I'm coming back a bit earlier than I normally would. We've got about 36 miles to the next waypoint. We are currently in Arizona. We've just crossed the border from New Mexico a few minutes ago. And after the next waypoint, but between the one after that, in theory, we should be descending. We've maintained radio contact. One of the things they do let you do, as you saw in the notes in the beginning, is you can let ATC know that you'll be away. So there was a time I said, I'll be gone for about an hour. They just said, hey, let me know when you'll be back. And that was dealing with Kansas City Center, which really took us kind of from Missouri through till we handed over to Albuquerque Center a little bit before we got into New Mexico and things like that. So, but given the, more complicated nature of what we have going on here, I just thought, well, we'll take a look and we'll see what we start to see here. So, but yeah, there's very little in the window as far as SayIntentions. I mean, it's just that checklist. There's nothing that comes up. So you really don't need the SayIntentions portal because there's nothing happening there. So skies are clear. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick look. Just, part of what you want to do as a pilot is get set. So 3006 is what's being reported by Navigraph over at Goodyear right now. We'll see, if that's what we get reported as we go in, but we're coming up on India November Whiskey, and that will then get us descending. As you can see on the flight plan here at Desert. Actually, at Desert, we're still not descending. We're descending after Shock. So, I guess we'll have a little more time, but it's fine, and obviously people can skip ahead if they want to skip ahead. But we'll go ahead and just make the request here. If you haven't liked or subscribed yet, please do that. There's always something going on the channel. It'll help you find things a little bit easier, but also will encourage the YouTube algorithm to get things out to more people. We have gotten a few subscribers past 1,900, approaching 2,000. Obviously, really stretching the goal to get to 10,000. Would love to do that, and obviously, that will make things a little more viable. I'm sure other creators have also said, if we were able to do a few things, it just makes things easier to make a decision of, am I going to purchase this to show on the channel or so forth, if we're getting a little bit of income from YouTube. And it's really hard as a small provider. Even as large providers, I think it's challenging. I've definitely listened to a few folks that I find helpful, and they've been talking recently about, kind of being a content creator full-time, and how they're not opposed to doing that, but that bridge is a long way away, and I can entirely sympathize with them. If it were to happen, I would certainly not have any issue with that, because I love creating content and sharing it with folks. But that is a unimaginable result at this point, given how long it has taken even to get this far. So, the slog is real, but part of the reality of the slog...
Clear Desert. To arrival into Goodyear. When you're ready to begin your descent, descend and maintain flight level 270.
When ready to begin descent, descend and maintain flight level 270, Walker 4021. Okay. So it still gave us that, but it did not give us...
Walker 4021, descend and maintain 13,000, turn left, heading 195 vectors for the RNAV, runway 3 approach.
Say again, please.
Walker 4021, descend and maintain 13,000, turn left, heading 195 vectors for the RNAV runway 3 approach.
Descend and maintain 13,000, heading 195 vectors for the runway 3 approach. Walker 4021.
Walker 4021, descend and maintain 12,000.
Descend and maintain 12,000, Walker 4021. Right, so this is a bit different, so we're gonna do this, but I'm going to have to, I believe, go make some changes to the flight plan here, because I believe, oh no, we are coming in on 3, okay. So it is interesting. Alright, so let me see. Let me get the heading bug here. 195 is what it wanted. So that's just going to go a little sharper. So it's going to break us off the path here. But probably take us toward Porter. More directly, basically, is what we've got going on. But another 10 degrees or 20 degrees in the turn. Let me go here. Let's see. Okay, VNAV is no longer there. Home. Flight plan, just clearing things up. Right, so I'm just gonna try to zoom out a bit. And yeah, we are headed in the vicinity of Porter. And the benefit of going this way as well is there was definitely a concern that going from Cacti to Potter was going to take me right over the main airport in Phoenix. You know, that was going to be a challenge for sure. I'm like, it seems unlikely to be a path that they'd want you to use. But, you know, the first point is Higney, which is after Potter, and that is 5,000 or above is where they'd like us for that. So we'll see how that all comes in. But at this point, yeah, we are, you know, still at least a couple, you know, 100 and 120 nautical miles from that point. But as you can see, it's a little bit different. So gonna want to, so I did discover there's a scratch pad in the Walker Air Transport thing, and it has some craft information initially, but there is just a general pad that we can take notes on over there too, so. But yeah, it didn't give us any kind of specific point, but I'm anticipating we should be on this approach for quite some time. Still showing 3006. That was 1 hour and 6 minutes ago, though, so you would think that may change at any point in time here. Because usually they update METARs about every hour, but again, this is a smaller airport, so I'm just going to verify. Yes, runway 3 is what we're doing. Alright, but we're coming down on transition altitude already. So we're going to flip that.
Walker 4021, turn right heading 215.
Turn right heading 215, Walker 4021. Alright, so Not sure where it's going to send us, but we're going to be good. Good aircraft here. Again, maybe it's still kind of in the right direction, but it seems sharper. So, but it may be trying to just get us parallel to the runway. So, which is obviously what you'd normally do. We're going to get our landing lights on just so we don't have any challenges here. I don't know that we can go much below 12,000, but at least if it maintains us at that height, we can stay above 250, as long as we're staying above 10,000 feet, which we certainly would want to do. But yeah, yeah, this is a lot more direct at the airport than one would think, but we'll see. But now this should straighten us out, and we certainly have some mountains in front of us, so we do need to get over all of that. You can see our distances.
Walker 4021, descend and maintain 7,000.
Seems really early, but okay. Descend and maintain 7,000, Walker 4021. So I'm thinking this is going to take a long time to get where we need to, because again, we're going to have to slow down. And so now you can see we're at 360 at the ground speed. We're likely going to be at barely 290 or 280, if even that, by the time we slow down. And I don't know, those mountains seem strangely tall to me. 7,000 is concerning. But some green as we're descending into the valley. We've got our lights on, so we're good for descending to 10,000. I mean, I'm not going to lower my flaps because that will necessitate an even slower speed. So I am going to obviously fly this way. But we're finally coming up to the, like, being parallel to some degree across an east-west line of desert. So just to give you an example, here we are, here's this, like this was going to be our path. We're coming in at the orientation it asked us to, but this is the approach to 3. Like, it might be bringing me into Higney, but it almost seems sharp for that. So again, sharing a little bit more with you of what we've got. Just if you're new and to flight sim or considering it, like, you have a better look. But man, going down 1,500 feet more. I mean, I assume it knows what it's telling us to do, but my goodness, this is a little nerve-wracking, I'll tell you that. Yeah, and I get we were headed down at a pretty sharp angle. I am going to turn on the landing rate monitor because we may need to take some evasive action. Because, yeah, right now we're 2,000 feet above the ground, but those things are higher. So, I mean, yes, we're flattening out here, but we may cross with like 500 feet.
Contact Luke approach on 125.45.
Contact Luke approach 124.45, Walker 4021. Approach Walker 4021 with you, 7,000 feet.
Walker 4021, Luke approach, good morning, Goodyear altimeter 3027. Expect the RNAV runway 3 approach into Goodyear.
Expect the RNAV approach into runway 03 into Goodyear, Walker 4021. Alright, so the concern with 3027 is this is going to bring us even a little lower because basically that higher pressure raises what the airplane thinks is the height. But yeah, 2,500, and we're gonna start to see what this all comes up to. I don't like that warning. I think we're okay, but I mean, because looking at it, it doesn't look like it's like looming in front of us, but this is close. I definitely don't like what we're seeing. I mean, it's not saying pull up anymore. I mean, we were descending a little bit, so maybe that was part of it.
4021, turn left heading 1905.
Turn left heading 1905, Walker 4021. I don't know why it didn't just keep us on that, but... Alright, because we're within 2,000 feet, and I'm wondering if that's some of it. But yeah, now we're kind of heading back to Potter. Because, yeah, I'm thinking we've got to get over that ridge as well. So if it tells us to descend further, I'm going to be concerned. Because we didn't clear the rest by much. I mean, we got over that stuff, but... Like, to me, I would not have...
118.7.
I would not have gone down that low to begin with. Like, I am confused with why it did that, but...
4021, descend and maintain 6,000.
Would like to remain at 7,000. Walker 4021. Let's see what it says.
Walker 4021, remain at 7,000, roger.
Okay, thank you. Just feel way better about until we cross those mountains, because I think once we do that, I think we're okay. And you know, those do look lower. I have no doubt, but yeah. You know, and again, to some degree, you know, I think they do a good job there, because ATC is supposed to default a little bit unless we're asking or requesting something that is really going to cause a conflict. The pilot at the end is in control of the aircraft.
Descend and maintain 6,000.
Oh boy. Descend and maintain 6,000, Walker 4021. I assume they know what they're doing. So, here we go. And again, we have 5,000 feet clearance right now, but, you know, so one would think those are at least 1,000 feet lower. I mean, if I pass over them 2,000, 3,000 feet above the tops, that's fine, but, you know, again, we're coming down to 4. We're going to be at like 3,700 probably by the time this all wraps up. You know, and again, once we're past these, I think we're fine, because at that point I think we are in a larger space without higher terrain. So, we'll see. But yeah, we're down to 2,800 pounds of fuel now, just changed from 2,820, so we're definitely using... So, just verifying here.
Left heading 225.
So, 2,000, 1,800, 2,000 again, 1,500, so yeah, that just doesn't seem like they'd bring you in that close, but again, with a small airport, a smaller plane, we're not a commercial jet, things like that, they may be like, alright, we're gonna get you out of the main traffic. But yeah, we're coming up on Yo-Lao, which is the next point. You can see it over here on the screen, and then we'll have Cacti after that, which is going to be 20 or 30 nautical miles after that, and that's still a little bit north of Goodyear. So, like I said, though, I am not playing with my flaps because it'll slow me down even more. At this point, we're still at least maintaining about 300 on the ground speed, so that should be pretty solid. But yes, I do believe, you know, we're now past everything. Looking at kind of my Navigraph charts and the terrain, I do think everything is now lower. You know, but we do have a ways to go. I mean, we're going to be getting pretty far over there, and like I think Potter is just in front of that next ridge line. But, you know, we've got, again, 36 miles directly to the airport, but the airport's in essence kind of in this direction over here. So we're not headed there. We're now past YOLO. We can see Cacti on that point, and they may just vector us in at this point to the airport. So
Walker 4021, turn right heading 220.
turn right heading 220, Walker 4021. So yeah, the key is you want to respond immediately with the change, because that's, you know, to some degree why they're giving it to you. When they're giving it to you, they're vectoring you in appropriately. And again, we may come into Higney,
contact Phoenix Tower on 118.7.
you know, and that'll cut some distance off, so that's fine.
118.7 for American 2262. Good day.
And that was some rumbling in the background of his call there. But yeah, at this point, we're heading less toward the ridge line. But yeah, I think we're okay for Higney. But we'll be closing the distance a little quicker because now we're also headed more in the direction of the airport. Again, Higney I think is 5,000. So at some point, if that's where it's bringing us in, but the problem is it's not really a super strong turn, because again, where I'm zoomed in at this point, it's you know, pretty significantly in there. Yeah, we've got more than 10 nautical miles between Higney and Tatooine, or Tatooine, whatever it is. Yeah, we're almost coming in sharper, because now we've crossed the line from Cacti, and we would have gone out a bit. I don't know. Because, yeah, Sky Harbor Airport is somewhat in the path. Now, the Luke approach... Oh, okay, Luke Air Force Base. That's who we're at. Okay. I'm like, who are we getting? Who's Luke approach? But I see Luke Air Force Base, Glendale, Arizona. It's just north of Goodyear. So, it would make sense that they would be bringing us in. And again, maybe they keep us low so that they can keep their airspace clear for any flight operations they have going on. Things like that. So... yeah, I would almost want to turn left again. So otherwise it's just, we're not going to have a good approach. I don't know. We will follow ATC, because they should know their airspace. I'm going to take a quick look at a little nav map, because that shows me all the other activity. Well, there's definitely activity around. So let me go back.
Southwest 2099, contact Phoenix Tower on 118.7.
Alright, so
118.7 for Southwest 2099.
yeah, we've got a Southwest at, he's climbing 2099. That's that one that they just called to, although he's turning, so he may be coming in on approach. But he's climbing to 4,200. We're at 6,000. There's a Southwest coming from the north that, again, is right now about 4,000 feet above us, but they are descending as well. So there's just a lot going on. But anyway, alright. Yeah, we're almost headed directly for the airport, so I'm not a fan of this, but they're kind of bringing...
21, turn left heading 1905.
Turn left heading 1905, 4021. I don't know why they keep doing this little wiggle in here, but they are. Because again, I think 195, if you go to 3, like 21 is really the parallel course, 210. So that would be the other side of the runway. So 195 still, I guess it's getting me a little further away. But yeah, now we're passing Cacti. You can see runway 3 right there. You know, and that's the way we want to come in, because that'll be Rupoi. I don't know. I don't see PED on my screen, but I'm sure if I zoomed in enough, I would. And then Tatui would be out there. So, yeah. But it looks like we need to cross this ridgeline. I didn't think we would be crossing anything, but we are. And yeah, you can see that on the chart a little clearer now that I'm zoomed in a bit more. So I would think, once again, we're not going to go below, because we should have 10 or 15 nautical miles to Higney past that ridgeline. But yeah, I'm thinking this is bringing me in with Tatui, and we're going to have Higney and Potter coming into view there at some point.
Delta 1070, radar contact. Climb and maintain 11-1000.
Because right now, like, yeah, they've lined us up into a lower area, which is good, I suppose.
2865,
but it's an interesting approach, for sure.
7 Charlie Papa, what was the frequency again?
Sky Harbor,
7 Charlie Papa, contact
I
Phoenix
think,
approach on
will be
128.65.
to our right.
2865, thank you.
But we're likely past that already.
Delta 1070, contact Phoenix, departure on 124.1.
Actually, that's directly to our...
124.1 for Delta 1070, good
kind of
day.
behind us, because out of Cacti we would have really been almost over the airport. So we did cross over and avoid that. And then we're going between the Glendale airport as well. So yeah, all in all,
Southwest 2398, contact
it's a logical
Phoenix
path.
Tower on 118.7.
118.7 for Southwest 2398.
Yes, we're
Southwest 560, contact Phoenix Tower on 118.7.
7 miles, 7.2 is kind of, now we're getting a little further away, it looks like. 7.21, 7.23.
47,000.
So we've passed the
4021,
airport.
turn right heading 220.
Turn right heading 220, Walker 4021. Yes, I did not do it immediately, but... So now we're gonna not be staying in that gap. But we'll see. So yeah, I think again it's taking us... maybe again we're kind of approaching Higney. Yeah, because there's Higney. Like, this just seems like a really sharp approach to me. I'm not a fan of it. But we're gonna cross a little bit of that ridge right there, so we're doing it now. We got 4,000 feet clearance as we overfly. It's probably gonna get to 2,000 at least, so once again there'll be a bit, but you would hope, like, maybe it'll start having us descend soon. Because, yeah, I do not want to turn right anymore. I do not want to go, like, higher, you know, to 250 or something. I think that's going to be too much.
Departure Southwest
Right,
3483,
we're across.
2000 for 4,000. Southwest 3483, radar contact. Climb and maintain 12-1-2000. Up to 12-1-2000, Southwest 3483. 2312, 7000.
Yeah, so you can see we're headed, because at this point, like turning out to Higney would be bad. Let's see, this is kind of the holding pattern here. I mean, we don't need to hold.
Southwest 3483, contact Phoenix departure on 124.1.
I would think it would bring us lower.
4.1 for Southwest 3483.
Because yeah, now if I change to the
Southwest
RNAV,
3940, contact Phoenix Tower on 118.7.
yeah, because at Tatooine, we should be at 4,000.
7 for Envoy 3940.
And then Rupoy is 2,900, Pedvi 1880, and then we're landing in the airports at about the airports, what is its height? 969, so
Walker 4021, turn left heading 200.
turn left heading 200, Walker 4021.
Will climb and maintain flight level 370, SkyWest 6th Street.
SkyWest 6368, contact Albuquerque Center on
So
135.15.
I'm guessing it's going to bring us in some point.
Walker
there.
4021, 6 miles from Tatooine. Turn right heading 325, descend and maintain 4000 until established. Cleared for the RNAV runway 3 approach.
Turn right heading 325, descend and maintain 4,000 until established, Walker 4021. Alright, 325, that is a long, long way around. So I'm not a fan of how they're bringing us in, but this is how they're bringing us in, and it's probably a reasonable way, but man, it feels really tight. I'm hoping I can really make this turn. I'm going to put some flaps out, because that will also slow us down and should allow us to then make a tighter turn, because we're going to cover less ground that way. Okay, I'm going to go to
American 2073, contact Albuquerque Central.
second level of flaps, and then we'll see. Because yeah, we are basically on, and you can see that this is shrinking.
Over to
So,
Phoenix Tower on 118.7.
because I guess at this speed, that would be what we do. So in theory, we should be okay. Alright, and it'll get us down to say 160, but we're at 300. Now, what I want to do is go direct Tatooine. I'm going to do that. And we're going to go nav. And that will bring us in where we need. We'll turn on the approach. And hopefully then we'll grab terrain. Oh, I see. Yeah, alright. Certainly not great, but we're not descending anymore, so we're 2,000 feet above, so it's okay. But yeah, this took us out, obviously, a bit further than maybe we were intending, but yeah, I think we're good there.
Departure Sun Country 604, 2000 for 4000.
And so it'll go back left a
Country
bit
604, radar contact. Climb
as
and
it
maintain
starts
11
to get onto the line.
Up to 11, 1000, Sun Country 604.
SkyWest 6272, contact Phoenix Tower on 118.7.
Alright, and this will not be straight in until we get to Tatooine. But definitely coming
Sun
in.
Country 604, contact Phoenix departure on 124.1.
So, a lot of activity, but again, we're
Departure on 124.1.
we're pretty
Sun
close
Country
to
604.
Sky Harbor, so that's not an unbusy airport for sure. Alright, we are in the pattern, or the holding loop for the RNAV approach. But 2,600 feet above ground at 4,000, as we can see. So, you know, everything's going to kind of drop a little bit lower as we go. So again, we're at like 900 feet, so... Right, so
Walker
we're 2
4021,
miles away.
contact Goodyear Tower on 120.1 at 6 DME.
Contact Goodyear Tower, Walker 4021. Goodyear Tower, Walker 4021. Getting established, RNAV 03.
Walker 4021, Goodyear Tower, roger. Continue approach runway 3.
Continue approach runway 3, Walker 4021. Okay, so there should be the runway, I believe. We're still not locked in to anything. And again, RNAV is less the lateral than it is, you know, it just kind of gets us in, but it doesn't really do everything. It's not an ILS approach. But here comes the glide slope, so we got the GP in white, glide path in white. Once we lock in, that'll bring us down. Now I think what it was telling us with the 6 DME was, I think we could have stayed with Luke until we were within 6 miles of the airport. But, I don't know, we didn't get in trouble for switching, so we're good. Alright, so we're established on the glide path, and now we're gonna start coming in, less than 10 miles to go. And again, at Rupoy, we should be at 2,900. And then Pedvi 1880. And then obviously we go into land over the next 1.1 miles from Pedvi. But pretty well done. So hopefully, yeah, my pro version here, I may have done it.
070 at 5. Runway 3, cleared to land.
Runway 3, cleared to land, Walker 4021. Okay, so very little wind. Nothing to really worry about. We're a little under a mile from Rupoy. 2,900 is coming up. But gonna be a little higher, which is interesting. Alright, at this point we'll put down our gear. We don't want to forget that. That would be pretty awful. Done that once or twice, so. Alright, I'm going to let us get a little bit closer. We're still on the glide path, so that's fine.
Scout Juliet Alpha Golf, contact ground on 121.7.
Again, Pedvi, which is 2 miles away. In theory, we want to be basically around 1,900.
Required. Juliet Alpha Golf.
And then once we're about 1,000 above, which may be before Pedvi, we're gonna probably start playing with the throttle a bit. Alright, just do need to, I want to see a little bit of what we got going on. I don't necessarily like the default view that we have, but kind of getting myself set here. Take over control. Alright, so we're gonna get the auto throttle, turn that off, try to get ourselves set. Okay, we were down here, we're gonna put ourselves there, At this point, 3 miles out, we're going to go full flaps. So that will get us down quite a bit. I'm going to increase the engines. Am I not centered? Just, it's looking awfully odd in the approach here. Alright. Again, we're going to get closer. So, right now, looks like we're the right height. Okay, we're going to back this off a bit. Alright, about 200 feet. We'll disengage the autopilot, and we're going to try to get this in here appropriately. Throttle back.
40, 30, 20.
All right. I'd say that was not bad.
Walker 4021, congratulations on completing a long-haul flight over 8 hours. You just earned the long-haul pilot badge. That takes serious dedication and endurance.
Okay, it wasn't an 8-hour flight, but okay. Don't know where it thought I was coming from.
Walker 4021, welcome to Goodyear. Contact ground on 121.7.
Contact ground, Walker 4021. Goodyear ground, Walker 4021, exiting runway 3, looking for parking.
Walker 4021, Goodyear ground, taxi to Park Stand 3 via Alpha Romeo 3. Have a good day.
Taxi to Park Stand 3 via Alpha Romeo 3, Walker 4021. Okay, let me see if I can see this. Stand 3. Okay, we're on Alpha. I don't see a Romeo 3 though. It means Alpha 3? I don't know. Because yeah, I'm looking at the location, and so I think it's just over here once, because we're gonna get to Alpha 3 in a moment. But yeah, the next thing I need to graduate to is some sort of a replay tool that would let me give you guys some cool graphics of the landings.
Taxi to General Aviation parking via Alpha Romeo 3. Good day. Alpha 3, Alpha Romeo 3, for Circle Unit.
Yeah, I don't know that there is a Romeo 3, but this is Alpha 3. And I'm thinking Park Stand 3 is somewhere nearby. They're not labeled, so we're just going to do the best we can and put ourselves over here. We've got our flaps up. I'd say we're good. So we're going to put on our brakes. A quick peek. Yeah, I'd say we're fine. So we'll go back here. Get our engine shut down. And that should do it. So, PIREP is filed. And at this point, I should be complete. Yep, do you want to repeat this tour? So, I have finished it. And we have finished it together if you've watched the series. And if you have, great thanks. I know 37 flights, not simple. You know, I tend to do long type things on the channel, just try to keep things involved. I'm really thinking I may pop the VFR World Tour in here. That's my initial thought right now as it sits today. I may change my mind, I may do something else, I may not have just a set Saturday flight, I don't know, because obviously I've got the Truck Sim series that's going on. that's now a lot of stuff, and you know, there's definitely things coming. We've got dock that we're hoping for, but that hasn't even been announced with a release date. You know, we're playing with new Power Wash Simulator 2, a bunch of other things that I've neglected for a long time. So on the one hand, it's nice to not have a deadline series. The VFR series would not be that, and it would make sure that I got something done each week, but it's still, you know, an insane amount of legs, 200 some legs, so it, you know, it would still take like 5 years to get through it. So not that I'm necessarily going to do it faster by not doing it that way. And it would also keep me more focused on the SayIntentions tour tracker piece, making sure if things were acting weirdly that we could get that work through and so forth. So not 100% sure on what I'm going to do, but don't be surprised if next Saturday what you see is a VFR flight on the world tour, and it would be, you know, in the upper teen legs. I don't think I'm going to get another one done before it. I just don't remember if I'm on like 15, 16. I think I'm right around there somewhere. And that's all assuming that Tour Tuner works. I can do it without Tour Tuner, but I would love to really start doing that a little bit. And I think that would fit well in kind of a scheduled series that people can look forward to, because that gets us to some really interesting places, and versus what this was. So again, let me know in the comments your thoughts.
Charlie Juliet Alpha Golf, fully ready for a southeast departure for runway 3.
Aerostar Juliet Alpha Golf, runway 3, taxi.
Right, turning off ATC or SayIntentions there. But let me know down in the comments your thoughts. Of, do you think that would be something you'd be looking forward to, would be that VFR World Tour? And if you haven't seen any of it, look up that playlist on the channel. You know, pick the area you've seen. We've gone basically from the middle of the U.S. and around the Kansas, Missouri area, and we've made our way across the Atlantic, and we're up in Denmark, Norway, Sweden type area right now. I think we just landed near Oslo, and that's where we sit right now. But that is a VFR series that is designed to go past and look for points of interest. So there's always multiple waypoints, and it was created by someone, and I'm just using those flight path plans and have found them excellent so far. I'm really enjoying that. And a big part of that is it's going to get me to places I've never been before, probably would never go to without it. And tons and tons of flying there. It's over 115,000 nautical miles, I believe. So, you know, and that would give us something to do, and then I could fill in, or what if I do other things, I could add that in. You know, I've still got the pilot's life. Still trying to figure out, you know, what to do with, you know, because NeoFly ends up requiring a good amount of time. Slightly tempted to pivot to on-air. I don't know. There's just so much to do with Flight Sim. But, so I can't say I'm sad about this one coming to an end, because it was getting to that point that it was starting to feel a bit like a job. And not necessarily that the VFR thing won't, but to me, that one is, I think, more interesting for viewers, because here it was just, okay, we're flying, and I show you takeoff, I show you landing. You don't really see anything new and unique each time, and so the viewership on this series, I don't think, was very high. I would hope that the VFR series would gather more attention, and weekly is certainly far more consistent than what I've been doing, because it's been at least a year since I started that series, and again, we're only on like leg 15 or something, so you know, it's been one a month at best, because yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than a year. And so one a month, it's challenging for people to get into, but if you know, hey, I'm going to have one of these every week, and again, they do take 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes, and I keep it all because it's a VFR series, so you can look out the window, you can see where we're at, and you know, I do as I always do with most of, well, I'm not doing it with these flights because it's pretty much, hey, takeoff, landing, descent, stuff like that. I give you the big pieces, but there you're going to get details waypoint to waypoint. So if you don't have 2, 3, 4 hours to invest, you can jump to, you know, another waypoint and kind of have an idea of where we're at on the trip. So that is my thought. So would love to hear comments from the viewers who have been following this, what you think. But second, I think I finished, I know I did like a New Zealand tour in Walker that I finished. This may only be the third tour that I've completed. Yeah, I'm looking here. No, I did U.S. Capitals, which again was not recorded. It was in a series. I did the New Zealand Adventure Tour. I finished that in February 2024. So, and I think that one I did put on the channel. I did the Formula 1 2024 and got that done in May of 2024. The NASCAR 22 series we finished in October 23rd of 2024, so obviously just about a year ago. And then a couple months after that was my 1-year anniversary with Walker. And then we finished this. So I've got 5 tours at Walker that I've completed, but there's so many other things we can do. I'm just not sure that most of the tours are that interesting to include everything in. You know, NASCAR kind of, I could role play a little bit. Hey, we're going here. Here's who won. But unless you're a NASCAR fan, you didn't care. Everything else is more just areas of the world. So I just thought VFR might be a good series for the channel. And then maybe every once in a while, I just say, hey, I've recorded this flight, and here we go. I don't know. We'll see what it looks like, but that's my thought. Please weigh in, and I will see you next time.